This is becoming a bit of a problem. I think I might be getting a bit too famous. Do you remember that Richard Stallman video I put out the other day, the one about flat packs and snaps and how he just didn't really understand what they were but still felt like he needed to comment on them? Well, that video might have offended a certain tech blogger, that being Roy, the guy who runs Techrights, who felt my video was so egregious and so wrong that just a few hours after that video came out, he had to write a blog post correcting what I said. Now, if this was just, actually correcting things that were wrong, that's fine. Go ahead and do so. This might be one of the worst things I have ever read. Let's start with the title. Brodie Robertson is wrong because flat packs and snaps do in fact promote proprietary software, Stallman is right, and it's mostly foolish. If I have to analyze your title, you are already off to a really, really bad start. Firstly, you don't include any evidence of flat packs and snaps promoting proprietary software, so I will do your job for you. This right here is the Flatpak website. Most people probably come here once, learn how to set up Flatpak, learn how to use it, and then never come here again. Now, whilst there are icons for things like Telegram, Inkscape, GIMP, and Firefox, there are also icons for Slack, Spotify, and Steam. These are proprietary applications. Now, these icons don't tell you how to download it, don't tell you how to install it, anything like that, but you could say this is a very light form of promotion. And this is the FlatHub website. This is the main store where you download applications from, but anybody can go and run their own store and have anything they want in it. This is just the main place people use. Now, this does have things, if we scroll down, like Edge. It does have Chrome. It has Discord. Now, with these proprietary applications, it will give you a warning. It will say, proprietary. This app is not developed in the open, so only its developer know how it works. It may be insecure in ways that are hard to detect, and it may change without oversight. So whilst it does promote the fact that you can download it, it also promotes that this may be a dangerous application nobody really has any way to tell, giving you, as the user, the information you need to make an informed decision about the applications you install. As for snaps, on the other hand, one of the biggest selling points is the first-party developer support from these proprietary developers. Things like Spotify, JetBrains, Microsoft. It's pretty obvious that there is going to be proprietary applications here, and they are going to be promoted. No more digging needs to be done. So Roy, you are right. Flatpaks, FlatHub, Snaps, and the Snap Store do in fact promote the use of proprietary software. However, you include this clip giving context for what you're writing about in this article, in which I do not say they don't promote proprietary software. You have just imagined this problem out of thin air. Nobody ever said they don't. Your entire premise is based on something you imagined hearing. So hopefully that sets the tone for the rest of the article. Better yet, the rest of the blog post. The video in question is very new and very wrong. I'll grant you very new. This blog spam came out about 3 or so hours after the video originally released. The short story is, Richard Stallman insists that with free software, people also have the freedom to install proprietary software if they so wish, albeit it is not desirable if the goal is software freedom. Roy, let's not do this. Let's not try and pretend that Stallman is some free software moderate. Oh, it's okay if you install non-free software if that's what you desire. That's what's so great about free software. You know as well as I do, that is not Stallman's stance. Stallman has always been and will always be the free software absolutist. That's his stance. Let's not pretend it is anything otherwise. Unless that non-free software is baked into the hardware, in which case we don't acknowledge that it exists. That's not a problem. Let's not talk about that. Let's focus on something else. Stallman acknowledges that you can do it, but let's not pretend that he includes this as part of his definition of software freedom. But even if he does, this is the best part about this entire argument, then you still do not have something you disagree with me on, because that is my position. I am the free software moderate. I run Spotify. I play video games because I want most of my life to be free software. But there are certain things I am not going to go without. So I make most of my life free software and then add in the non-free things in the places where they cannot be replaced. I want more people to have free software in their lives. I want more people to be conscious about the software they are running, not just downloading the first thing they see on a search engine. Actually paying attention. Does this software respect my freedom, or is it trying to steal all of my data and sell it to some, I don't know, whoever you don't want to have your data? I want people to actually think about what they are running, but I also acknowledge the fact that a 100% free software life is not viable for a lot of people. You might need the Microsoft Office suite. You might need Adobe stuff. You might need, I don't know, maybe you don't use Blender. Maybe you're a Maya user, for example. Maybe you just like to play video games. You can say video games aren't that important and aren't part of the equation. But if someone wants to play video games and that's not part of the equation, well, your option is not part of the equation for them either then. To make any real amount of change, you need to meet people where they are and be willing to at least compromise a little bit to bring them more freedom, even if it's not absolute freedom. Stallman and the FSF did some incredible work back in the 80s and 90s, and that sort of rhetoric works really well on the tech nerds. But you cannot take an absolute stance with the regular normal person. Stallman is also correct about distro repositories compared to, say, Flatpaks and FlatHub. Once again, let me do your job for you. It's hard to be 100% sure, but I think this is the part he was trying to point to. It's hard to trust these snaps and Flatpaks, and not only that, but those platforms distribute non-free software, so it's a bad idea to point to them at all. And in addition, it means that there aren't multiple, with distributions. As distributions package a program, they will also look at the program, and thus they can fix things. If they see anything bad, they can change it. And thus, this is part of how users collectively maintain their control. I fundamentally disagree that you shouldn't point to a repo that contains non-free code. I'm going to teach you how to use Linux right now, okay? Do you know how you don't install non-free code onto your system, even if there is non-free code in the repository? Say, I don't know, Steam is packaged, for example. The way that you don't install that is you don't install the package, okay, follow along, I know this is really complex, that has, okay, the non-free code in it. What? You can just not install the package? It doesn't just magically infect your system? Oh my god, I've been lied to for all these years. Now, as for this second part about distros being able to fix things downstream and this helping users maintain collective control, I address this in my video. So, you will always have the option to package things downstream. If a distribution feels that they want to package something, they can totally go ahead and do so. Nothing is stopping them. This is all open source, free software code. You can make the package yourself. Go ahead and do so if that's what you feel like doing. My point is that you don't need to do so. There are a lot of packages out there which are not packaged in some special way. They are packaged one-to-one with what Upstream is offering. It is just packaged to meet Fedora standards or Debian standards or Arch Linux's standards, but the actual code itself is one-to-one identical with Upstream. This is a lot of duplication and a lot of wasted effort. I don't think you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I just don't think it should be necessary. And if there is something that is distro-specific, that is a perfect time to do a downstream package. But most of the time, there's nothing specific. Now, the next section of the blog rag isn't even about me. We've repeatedly seen this and covered this as recently as this year. Hours ago, we wrote about FOSS sites promoting proprietary software and even Microsoft Windows. That being its FOSS, which talks about things sometimes that are not FOSS. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's FOSS as a name. It's not a rule in law that they can only talk about FOSS. Sometimes gaming on Linux talks about things that isn't gaming. What? He's allowed to do that? I didn't know. It's easy to see why IBM and other Linux companies that work for/with Microsoft want to cancel Stallman. It's not about his non-tech worldview and opinions, it's about his opinions on software. Unlike Microsoft, Stallman is not their business partner. I'm going to let you in on another secret. Stallman isn't really that relevant to Microsoft nowadays. In the 80s, in the 90s, yes. But the FSF is a very small organization now, and is even small inside of the Linux world itself. But it is kind of funny that he brings this up at all, because I was one of the people that signed the letter in support of Stallman. So, you probably shouldn't mention this in a blog post about me. The vlogger Brodie Robertson seems to be barking up the wrong tree, painting software freedom as an obstruction rather than the goal. Well, the blogger, Dr. Roy Shestowitz, likes to imagine entire arguments out of thin air and then not provide any receipts. I think software freedom is the goal, but I think being an absolutist makes you sound absolutely insane and only leads to people laughing at you with no progress being made. The goal should be help more people bring more free software into their lives, not shaming people because they don't want to go 100% free software because they're a normal person who has interests outside of being a tech nerd. I've probably said it before, but I'll say it here. I would not be using Linux if I couldn't game. I would be a Windows user, and that's just it. The fact that Proton exists means that I can actually use Linux as a daily driver. But thanks to the incredible work done by the Wine team and the incredible work done by Valve, who took Wine and then set it all up to be good for gaming, and all of the other little components along the way to make gaming actually viable on Linux, I go from being, I'm on an operating system that is entirely non-free, most of my software is non-free, to an operating system that is mostly free with the exception of microcode and some firmware here and there, most of my user space software being free software, and then a couple of little things here and there that are non-free. I feel like I'm in a much better position now. Is it 100% free software? No, but it is a lot more free software than where I started at. If software freedom does not matter at all, you might as well buy some Apple things and be remotely controlled via apps with backdoors. What would be accomplished? Well, the fun thing about Apple things is now Asahi Linux exists, so you can take that Apple hardware and then stick a free operating system on it, and it's not perfect yet. There's still a lot of work to be done on drivers, especially things like the GPU driver, but you can have a free experience on hardware that originally started with a non-free OS. Taking that hardware that's eventually going to be e-waste and actually giving it a chance at having a long life. Now, my very favorite thing about Roy is he is so delusional and rides the FSF so hard that he thinks I'd like to interject for a moment is a fake harmful reference and links to when Stallman actually responded to I'd like to interject for a moment. You know,
incorrect quotation.
Shut up, Primegan. I don't care. You're not in this video. This is a copy pasta from G. Nobody thinks this is a Stallman quote. It's a meme. So, Dr. Roy, let's try this again. I'm not going to make some untagged Mastodon post and crying about some tech blogger being angry about me, or, cry about it to my friends, or pretend to be nice, like, oh, that Techrights guy, he's not that bad. If you try to write a hit piece on me, I am going to drag you over the coals every single time. And if you want to do it again, how about you actually include some research so I don't have to do it for you? These are fun sometimes. I enjoy these. So please, If you make enough of them, eventually I might get a Wikipedia page. I would like that. That would be fun. I do have an IMDb page, but no Wikipedia. I want to see that change. Anyway, let me know. Do you read Techrights? Do you like Techrights? Do you think it is a garbage blog spam website? And does it make sense that it's banned from most Linux subreddits? Because to me, it kind of reads like blog spam, with the exception of like 1 out of every 100 pieces. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you like the video, go like the video. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out Patreon, subscribe to Proprietary, link in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and bye, Roy.
Something like this.